As of right now, I would much rather prefer buying AIOZ instead of Bitcoin, even though nothing I say is financial advice. And I'm not telling anyone to buy AIOZ, by the way, but this is the way to take a look at it. I'm in the world of cryptocurrencies to look for hypothetical upside. I'm not looking for a microcap, but I'm not looking for a dinosaur either. As a best case scenario, what could Bitcoin really do from here on out? Slightly less than a 3x, maybe? Like, let's say it goes to the price of $300,000, does slightly less than a 3x from here. It's good, I guess, but it's not really that amazing. It's a little bit boring, actually, in my opinion. Something that I find very exciting is something like AIOZ, because going to the price of $20, that's around a 52x from here. Now, this is something that really gets me excited. It doesn't mean that it's ever going to reach that, but at least the way you take a look at it is that what is even more likely to do, let's say, at least a 10x in the next 6 to 10 months? AIOZ or Bitcoin? It doesn't guarantee that any of them could ever do that, but then I just kind of feel like Bitcoin during this bull run cannot reach over $1 million in price. I'm not talking about the next cycle or the next 2 cycles or whatever. I'm just saying during this bull run, it feels very unrealistic. Where on the flip side, because by nature AIOZ is an altcoin, so the market cap is way lower, of course, than Bitcoin, it wouldn't need as much volume to really make it move in a very amazing direction, especially during a fully fledged bull run. So I think AIOZ is really, again, a no-brainer for me. Now, we got to think about this. When it comes to the price of $20, again, around a 52x from here, market cap at that point would be around $23.5 billion. I don't think that's too much to ask for. I mean, if let's say Bitcoin went to a market cap of around 6 trillion, let's say the price at that point is around 300,000. Let's say that happens as a best case scenario. And let's say somewhere along there, Ethereum reaches a market cap of around 2 trillion. So that's combined 8 trillion, right? Now in a trillion, that's 1,000 billion. And in a billion, that's 1,000 million. So imagine out of 8,000 billion, let's say, just from 2 projects, I'm not talking about including Solana, XRP, and all this. No, right? Just Bitcoin and Ethereum. Are we seeing that out of that much volume, again, let's say give or take around 8,000 billion, around 23.5 billion can't flow into this? This is just my perspective, but again, only time will tell. But what makes you think that something like AIOZ could maybe go to the price of $20? And I think it's going to come down to its amazing fundamentals. And let me explain what I mean by this, because if we take a look at the AIOZ network, right? It's a decentralized physical infrastructure network for Web3, AI, storage, and as well as streaming. Now, why does this matter? It's because, of course, AI, we know, is very amazing. The market is predicted to reach nearly $2 trillion by 2030, according to Granby Research. So that's very fantastic. Now, we have to take a look at also storage. Storage is not really something that is kind of really talked about in the grand scheme of things, but I still like its market nonetheless, because the global data storage market size by 2030 is expected to reach nearly $800 billion, according to Fortune Business Insight. So that's very amazing. And of course, streaming, it's a pretty good market. And I still think there is some hypothetical maybe potential there because, for instance, right, if we take a look at, the video streaming market size by 2030, it's expected to be worth over $400 billion, yet again, according to Granby Research. So it's pretty much focused on really good markets, in my opinion. They're not focused on too many things, but I do like it. Not to mention as well, they're currently partners with NVIDIA, which is very massive, Google for startups, and even Qualcomm as well. And I'm just naming a few here, but I think it's very amazing. If we take a look at AIOZ at its most simple form, again, very amazing project. Of course, as the name goes, it's focused on AI. However, it's also focused on streaming and as well as storage. It's a complete package for me, in my opinion, but really, as of right now, it's just a waiting game because usually, as a worst-case scenario, altcoins, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Now, the last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of last year, so 18 months from then would actually mean around October this year. Now, is that going to be a guaranteed date? No, because it's a little bit ambiguous, right? There's no way to tell the future, and there's no way to tell if it's going to be that way this time around. But if anything, whether or not AIOZ, or let's say just altcoins in general, peak in November, in December, wherever the case may be, October, January of next year, again, whatever the timeline is, what can I control? That is myself, right? And that is just by accumulating, holding, and just waiting. That's it. That's just by being in the projects that I do like, being in the market. So then eventually, if it does really wake up, then I'll be there to catch maybe the wave along the way. So that's why I'm not giving up. And if someone said, hey, in the next 6 to 10 months, what would I rather, choose if someone's asking me that? I'm not saying on anyone's behalf, but personally, I would choose AIOZ over Bitcoin because I like its hypothetical upside, even though I think it's more risky than Bitcoin, in my opinion. But I'm willing to take a chance on this nonetheless because at 3x, that's kind of boring for me. However, even besides that, $20 when it comes to AIOZ wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. Greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm a peace. Bye.